as ever. Zach Phee paying homage to his Singapore roots, his dad from that part of the world, his mum English, very proud of that ancestry and background, and once again he's kick-starting the evening here for Johnny Clark and the Rumbles, of which he's been part of their team since he was just a 12-year-old. They're all on an adventure, and they are 4 fights in, an unbeaten stretch, 4-0 so far for Zach Phee. He's getting fight to fight. He's only 19, it's a long way to go, but already he's been impressing plenty in this part of the world, taking on the experienced Stephen Jackson. And if a timely reminder was ever needed, the fact that Jackson has only ever won 1 fight, that reminder would be the fact that that one fight 3.5 years ago was against Sam Cantwell. And Sam Cantwell being groomed for stardom as the son of boxing star of the past, Mickey Cantwell, and he hasn't boxed since for one reason or another. So the bumps in the road are always ever present for young boxing prospects, and that is the scenario once again for Zach Phee tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout scheduled for 6 3-minute rounds in the bantamweight division. This bout is brought to you by Johnny Clark of Top Tier Boxing and their proud sponsors, by Insulation, Synergy Direct, and Think Green Partners. This bout is sanctioned by the British Boxing Board of Control, your timekeeper at the bell, Stephen Pucci, and the third person in the ring in charge of the action, A-star referee, Kieran McCann. And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing to you first, fighting out of the red corner. He's wearing the black and silver. His official weight of 8 stones, 9 pounds. He has a record of 52 fights, 1 draw, 1 win, and that win comes in by way of knockout. Hailing from Lancashire, England's United Kingdom, Stephen Jackson. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. He's wearing the black and purple. His official weight of 8 stones, 9 pounds. He is currently undefeated with 4 wins, and one of those wins come in by way of knockout. Hailing from Sittingbourne, Kent, England's United Kingdom, introducing Zach Phee.
Listen up. You both know the rules. You will obey my commands at all times, all right? When I tell you to break, break clean. Take a step back, throw no punches. Mind your heads in close, and most importantly, lads, protect yourself at all times, all right? Shake hands.
Here we go then. Kick starting the night once again. Zach Phee is up first against Stephen Jackson, having his 53rd fight tonight. He's been the distance with former British champion Ian McGoldrick, Andrew Kane as well, who's fighting for the British title against Ash Lane, upcoming as well. So plenty of experience once again. These are the kind of characters that Zach Phee is going to bump into and face off against on the way up. Andy Clark with me once again. You got a glimpse of him from 5 or 6 feet away last time. What did you make of him? What do you want to see tonight?
He's a good fighter, isn't he? You can see that from the way he's set up, from the way he uses his feet, from the way he does pretty much everything. And you get the feeling that there are real possibilities for him, and that those lower weights, it is possible as well to move quite quickly. I was looking earlier today at who's the Southern Area champion at bantamweight. It's still listed as Jordan Perkins, but he actually retired after losing to Ashley Lane for the English title. Lane, now British and Commonwealth champion. And that English bantamweight title's vacant. It's being boxed for at the start of July, so you don't want to be in a rush because this is only his second 6-rounder, and he's in with somebody who's expected to take him the rounds, but they'll challenge him sooner rather than later, you would think.
Still young, though. Remember Daniel Dubois when he was 19, being sort of bigged up and almost rushed before he can walk. There's an element of that with Moses Atomo now. You can understand it, but as ever, you need a good, strong team behind you to maybe just dab the brakes and maybe just pull on the reins from time to time as well. But we like what we see so far from Phee. Everything is orthodox, works behind the jabs, got good feet, sensible head on him for a young man as well. Seen him do sometimes some pad work from the southpaw stance, but not as yet. 4 and a bit fights into his career has he done any switch hitting in the ring. But the boxing fundamentals very much seem to be strong in the armory early on.
You can see Jackson's not going to give anything away. You see, you look at his record, and as you mentioned, he's been down the stretch with some really good fighters. He's active and he wants to stay that way, so he's not going to present too many opportunities or too many gaps. And if you're in Phee's corner, you just want to see him be patient, work on whatever it is you've been working on in the gym, and try and just chip away and break him down if you can.
The jab, there has been the odd left hook so far to the body, so he's maybe prized that guard down from Jackson. And a couple of body shots there from Jackson towards the end of the round. Sensible start from Phee. But you're right, Anthony, looking at it with the boot on the other foot from Jackson's perspective, you're right, he wants to stay busy. This is his 7th fight of 2024. He had 21 fights a couple of years ago, back in 2022. I mean, that is 2 a month. That is busy, busy, busy. But you're right, from his perspective, it's getting the balance right between being careful, considered, doing his job, helping, but not presenting too many openings and opportunities. That's a delicate balance for the guy who's in the other corner, or girl these days, lady, to not be too negative, but also not to give away too much.
Exactly, it's an interesting kind of blend, because also to get through a fight against somebody who's good, you can't just cover up and be a well-protected punch bag. You've got to give them something to think about. You've got to give them enough to think about, but without being too expansive that you then give them gaps to exploit. And that's what somebody like Jackson is good at. You'll see the odd flurry. He did it at the end of that previous round, where he just, right up in front of us actually, just dipped his knees, went down to the body, and just let Phee have a little think about that as he wandered back to his corner. It didn't cause him any kind of a problem, but you have to do just enough. Otherwise, you're just tucking up and just seeing whether you can soak it up for 12 or 18 minutes or whatever the duration is. And that's a hard way to earn your money.
Nice body shot again from Jackson. He's quickly quietened. Unusual for, you know, what would be described as a journeyman in Stephen Jackson, but he throws feints. He's got good footwork as well. He has settled into that role, but he brings a little bit of art and technique and some smarts to it as well. You can see why he's only been stopped a couple of times in his career. You
absolutely can. And what's interesting when you look at his record is that he's been in the away corner from the beginning of his pro career, because what often happens is that a fighter will start in the home corner, maybe lose one early on that they weren't supposed to, then maybe have another result which isn't quite what was expected to happen, and they pick up the stool and they head for the away corner, because you don't have to sell tickets and it's just a different kind of existence completely. If you can square your pride with the fact that you're going there essentially to provide opposition, then there's money to be made. But he's been in the away corner from the beginning, and when you look at the capability he has, he's one of these lads, isn't he, where things could have been different if he'd had some backing. Things could have been different because he can fight. Absolutely. Mentioned that Sam Campbell win, what, 3.5 years ago as evidence of that. So it's up to Zach Phee to at least lodge some uncertainty or discomfort in the mind or body of Stephen Jackson. Working behind the jab again. Last minute of the second round for Phee. Great for his team as well, Phee. I mean, that's the dreamer of any trainer, to kind of be part of and help to mold
a champion or a would-be champion right from the very start. And the same for Johnny Clark. You know, this young man's been part of every one of Johnny's shows so far. This is 5 on the bounce, where he's been here at the Brentwood Centre on a top-tier show, but all of them want to be part of the story, and the dream is that the story goes from start to finish, from 0 to winning titles.
That's really what it's all about. That's the big ambition for everybody. I think if you could take a fighter from nothing basically when they turn pro, because he's not been heavily backed, he doesn't sell bundles of tickets, he's not on TV, he didn't go to the Olympics. You know, if you start from a standing start with them and you can go somewhere with them and win some titles, it takes some doing too, doesn't it? And you deserve a lot of credit as a trainer, promoter, manager, if you manage to identify that early, get on board, get other people to buy in and stick with it.
What a buzz that must be. What a buzz if they can get there. Long way off, of course, for Zach Phee. Just 19, and this is 5th fight. And that's Billy Rumble in his gym. He's been with Billy since he was a 12-year-old. Came and started in the kind of beginners class with Charlie Rumble, then as an amateur, where he did get himself a silver in a national championships a few years back as a youth. Was part of the England pathway set up for a while back in 22 as well, and here he is now as a young pro. Relatively young starting out, Andy, but then you look at the Mexicans like Canelo starting at 15 and away they go. They've had 40 fights by the time they're Fee's age.
It's a consideration though, isn't it? Because you don't want to, as you said earlier, rush anybody, and particularly when they're that age. He landed a nice uppercut there.
Yeah, did he hurt him with that cheeky little uppercut? He just picked up the pace in this 3rd round. You suspect that the corner onto it might have been a designated plan to work through the first couple of rounds and then pick it up, but there's real intensity, energy, a livelier looking Zach Phee at the start of this 3rd round.
And it's good to see, isn't it? It's good to see that temperature just raised, because it's taken Jackson a bit by surprise, and that's sometimes how you can make something happen. Your opponent settles into a rhythm, feels they know what they've got in front of them and they know how to cope to it. Then you just click up that gear and it's just enough of a shock to the system that you can get something done.
Lulled into a false sense of security perhaps, but either way there's a left hook getting through as well. As always, there's a bit of thought behind the work too. There was a lead right hand there, which, you know, against the southpaw, perfect planning, perfect execution, perfect technique, thought and process there from Phee.
Just took a big gulp of air actually to our right hand side, standing right above us there, Jackson, and this injection of pace, if he can keep it up in this final minute of the round, then I think he's going to reach the halfway point here, Phee, with some possibilities for the second half of the fight, but he will need to keep this tempo up.
He's rocked back on his heels there by a jab. There's another one comes in from Phee inside the final minute of this 3rd round, and this has been a quality performance in this particular round, though remind you not to be too gung-ho, not to be too lazy. There's a right hand came through from Jackson, who is being forced just to throw some leather now, almost out of necessity. And that's what the application and energy has produced. Results first and foremost, but a response as well from Jackson. Just a bit more hurried, and I think the right hands, there's a left hook to the body. The right hands, either the lead, there was a stabbing right hand to the body about a minute ago as well. Some excellent work in that 3rd round from Zach Phee.
And it was just about, wasn't it, picking up the pace, as you said. He really just put that foot down a bit at the start of the round and looked to get amongst it and set about Jackson a little bit. And I think a couple of those did get through. The uppercut was a particularly neat shot towards the start of the round, and it'll be interesting to see what he can do in the second half, because last time we saw him, he won all 6 rounds. It was a pretty good performance. So it's charted territory, he knows what he's getting. If he can just keep that tempo high, really push himself in 4, 5 and 6 and make it as hot for Jackson as he possibly can, that's what you want to see.
And there was that uppercut. Just caught him square, caught him trapped in the corner. And you just saw a dip of the knees, didn't there? Just a little buckle there from Jackson, which is a rarity in his career. So that was a big breakthrough. Can Zach Phee now build on that into this 4th round? He was just having a problem close the distance, wasn't he, in the first couple of rounds? And Jackson was just making it difficult for him to do that. He managed to pin him down, close that gap, and his choice and selection of punches throughout that 3rd round was terrific.
Just picking up a slight ticking off from the referee there, Jackson, about a little bit of holding. And for Jackson, really, he wants to be all the way out or all the way in, doesn't he? If he gets caught in this mid-range, then that's where he's got problems. Close is safe, but he tried to get close there and walked onto a left hand.
Yeah, clubbed him with a left hook, and this is a rarity as well. Jackson clinging on. He's clearly been troubled by the power when those shots have got through. And that was a lovely, perfectly timed counter from Phee on that occasion. As Andy said, Jackson kind of stuck in between where he wanted to be distance-wise, and he was just picked off. Oh, lovely left hook to the body, dipped down into that, and again, he's slightly marooned in no man's land there, Jackson. And every time that's happened in this 4th round, he's been punished for it.
He really has, because he threw the punch, tried to move in behind it, but Phee just backed up enough, and as Jackson was reaching out for him, basically, he wasn't quite there, and he found that left hand into the body. So this is good stuff from Phee. He's kept the pace nice and high.
He's just looking a little bit quicker, isn't he? Hand speed now. Thought for sure, trying to wriggle clear of Jackson, who was holding his right hand. That was on the belt line, another right hand, but again, body work from Phee, starting to get through with some meaty shots. We asked the question at the start of this round if he could build on it, and that has been affirmative. And that was the really impressive part of his performance back in December against Louis Smithson, the only stoppage on his record so far. But it was like this. He kind of built through, just building layers and layers to the performance, and then getting better and better and better, and finally got the stoppage in the third round. Lovely left hook to the body and then an uppercut. And we've seen a bit of both of those shots so far. Back-to-back rounds for Phee, getting better as the fight goes on.
And he'll have plenty in the tank for rounds 5 and 6 as well. He's cut the ring off well, hasn't he? Because Jackson hasn't got up on his toes and tried to leg it, if you like, but at the same time, he's got decent feet, like you said, so he is capable of finding space. Yeah, and he's covered his movement pretty well.
In that 4th round, he wasn't legging it, but he was trying to kind of circumnavigate the ring, wasn't he? And ultimately, he just got cut down and then chopped down with a couple of shots. So even when he tried to give himself a bit of space, it wasn't quite good enough. And he's only, you suspect, going to find things more difficult. He lives the life, Zach Phee, no question about that. Quite upper body strong for a 19-year-old at this weight. Came in, I think, around 121 for this one. So I think as he gets older, next couple of years, he could develop into quite a strong fighter for the weight.
That's a good right hand to the body.
Double jab from Phee, desperate to pinned Jackson down at the start of this 5th round. Well, that's a big jab. That was a bit like the first couple of rounds against Phillip Smith a couple of weeks ago, and Phillip Smith found a way to navigate those difficult early waters. There's a terrific left hook swiped in once again from Phee. He's finding it easier now to get close. He is just threatening to bully Jackson here.
That's exactly the right word, I think. He's cuffing him around, isn't he? Another left hand into the body, then switches up with a left hand to the head, and this is what he needs to do, is just try and just keep this tempo, this punch output as high as he can, and he won't mind that either. Jackson being forced into firing back. Yeah,
happened early on out of absolute necessity. But they were weary shots. And the crowd just sense that the moments that we've seen so far, the building momentum was about to crescendo into something for Phee. Still a minute to go in this 5th, penultimate round.
Again, just found the body there. In this final minute, he needs another crescendo, doesn't he? He needs to take it up that level as we get towards the bell. Good left to the body again there. You can hear those, can't you?
And you can see the effect, because Jackson again hanging on, and it's not something you see too often from a fighter like him. First protocol is move your feet and get out of danger, but he's just been hemmed in, pressurized, and made to feel deeply uncomfortable through the last 3 rounds, and it is only getting worse and more pronounced.
I like the way that he's targeted the body too, because people often don't do that, but he would have looked at Jackson's record and known that he was a durable, skillful guy. But the body is on offer for him, isn't it? When you look at the way that he's set up, he tries to use that high guard and does leave that torso quite open, and so that's where he's gone most of the time.
Couple of loose shots getting through from Jackson, who only has 1 more round to go, so he's done well to survive the last 3 rounds of mounting pressure and hassle that have come his way from Phee. There is something very fundamental, professional and old school about this young man. He belies his years.
He does, and there are no obvious weaknesses either. I think that's always a good thing to be able to say about a boxer. He's nice and compact. As you say, for 19, physically, he does look strong, because at that age, plenty of people still look quite boyish. There'll be more strength to come, definitely, but that upper body is solid. It really is, and he's listed as bantamweight at the minute, and that's what we kind of expect him to fight for titles at, but that'll need to happen quite soon, I think, or he'll outgrow it.
Touch of the gloves as they embark on the 6th and final round. Just the 2nd time that Phee's been into this territory, but I think because of his style, his regimen, his attitude and application, I think he's the kind of fighter who's actually going to get better the more you add rounds onto his career.
You'd imagine that the next thing they'll do with him is step him up to 8. Maybe they can get something organised for that Southern Area title. He's 5-0. Perkis, as I say, is still listed as champion, but he has retired. He was a Johnny Clark fighter as well. 5 or 6 fights to challenge for an area title at this kind of weight. It can be done.
He's come out orthodox in this round, hasn't he, Jackson? I wonder if that'll change the play at all from Phee, who's again stabbing the jab, again leading with body shots. And again, Jackson clinging on. 3rd time, notably, we've seen it in the fight. That was good from Phee. He stepped back out after he'd landed the jab. He's not really had to do that this fight because he's been able to press and pressurise. Crowd just getting into it, hoping maybe we're going to see one more of those crescendos with a minute to go. But that was a clever little step back. Bit of thought in his work late on in this fight.
Jackson just pinning that arm, that right arm of Phee on the blind side of the referee there. Kieran McCann will know exactly what he's up to there. He just makes it clear to Jackson that he sees all of this, but he's needing those tricks, isn't he, basically, because he knows that every time they get tight, he gets hold, and Phee is strong, and he'll shrug him off if he gives him half a chance.
I remember, I mean, we're all learning Andy out. He's not just Zach Phee in there tonight. I remember Kieran McCann, the referee, just started out a few years ago, and you could see he was learning the ropes. You could see he was novice as a referee, and he's really blossomed because of that experience itself in the last year or so. As the bigger gigs have beckoned and the bigger nights. I think Jackson just stumbled or lost his footing there briefly, and unfortunately for Jackson, the big moments of danger were averted in the final round, and Zach Phee goes another 6, gets another 6 in the bag. But there were 3 really impressive rounds in there, the 3rd, 4th and 5th, where he built steadily, applied the pressure, attacked the body, and just gave us a real glimpse of what he's about and where he's going.
It's another good performance. It'll be 60 points to 54. I've not seen all of his fights, but I'd imagine he may well have not dropped a round yet in his pro career, and getting these rounds under your belt against these kinds of opponents when you're the age he is really valuable. That's 23 pro rounds now, and he's not even 20 years old. It's good to see because, as you said right at the top, that there is no rush, but they will want next time, I think, someone who is coming to win. I think that's what they'll want.
Good night's work though. Jackson gets paid. He'll be able to get out again probably in another week or two's time, and Zach Phee gets some valuable rounds banked and experience, and also giving us an opportunity to see him once again. Let's get confirmation of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 6 rounds of boxing, we go to the referee scorecard. Referee Kieran McCann scores the bout 60 to 54, and your winner, Zach Phee!
It's another win. It's another 6 rounds in the bank for Zach Phee. As Andy said, that's just 23 in his career so far, when you consider Stephen Jackson's just completed 260 himself. So long way to go for Zach Phee, but he makes it 5 on the way. All of them here at the Brentwood Leisure Centre, all of them on Johnny Clark shows, and Project Phee is very much up and running.